We're just a few sleeps away from UFC Paris. It's official pick time. Gun to your head, the cartel is waterboarding you saying, give me a pick, who's going to win? That's what we're going to do for every single fight on the card. We got 14 fights to go through. We got a lot to talk about. I'll give you a short breakdown for each and every fight, and I'll leave you with a pick. I'll give you a little bit of betting advice along the way, but these are not bets. Okay, this isn't where I'm going to be putting my money exactly, but this is just picks. Who do I think is going to win? That's why we have the Best Bets show later in the week. That'll drop on Friday. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit the subscription button, hit the like button for me real quick, and we can hop into it because we got a stacked card to go through. Let's scroll all the way to the bottom. We got Chris Duncan and Blachowicz starting off the night, which is a great way to start off the night. And I like this fight because I like Blachowicz, and I think he could put on a nice little highlight reel on Chris Duncan, if Chris Duncan allows him to. The thing is with Chris Duncan, he's very hittable on the feet, but he does probably have a little bit better of an all-around MMA game. Why? Because he's been using his calf kicks a lot, and he's been using his wrestling a lot to get some wins. Now he's coming off a loss. Momentum has kind of halted since he picked up a couple wins in the UFC. And he's getting a tough matchup here in Blachowicz because I think Blachowicz is probably a lot more dangerous on the feet, probably a little bit more durable. I think he's a lot faster, a lot more athletic, and I think we could see that here. I think Blachowicz is going to find the shot eventually throughout the fight, as long as he can stay off his back. I didn't exactly like what I saw going back on film and watching Timmy Kwamba hold him down for a minute or two, but he managed to get himself back up to his feet, and he got a win there. It was by decision, which is kind of nice just to see that he could go 3 rounds. But we know he's explosive, he's fast, he's got power, and I think he will touch the chin of Chris Duncan eventually. And even if he doesn't get him out of there, I think he will do the more damage over the course of 3 rounds to get his hand raised. So give me Blachowicz for the pick. Nora Cornolle and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. So this is one, I believe on my early picks I took Cavalcanti, and I was a little bit hesitant. And after further review, I think I got to go with Nora Cornolle. Why? Because I think I've had this thing with Cavalcanti where I'm just not super sold. That's why I picked, I think I picked Josiane Nunes against her. I actually bet against Cavalcanti in her last fight. And I think it's just a perfect storm for Cornolle to come in here and get a win as an underdog because Cavalcanti is on short notice. She's taken this fight because she's already fought Nora Cornolle and she's already beat her. I actually went back and watched that fight on YouTube, and it was a good fight. I thought Cornolle looked super green because it was her first ever MMA fight. It was Cavalcanti's second MMA fight. Cavalcanti looked a lot more sharp, but Nora she's just an aggressive girl. She's going to march forward, she's going to throw hard, and she might get clipped in the process, but she's shown to be durable. She did get hurt in that fight, but so did Cavalcanti. She's just a physical girl that's going to walk you down and throw a lot of heat. And that's kind of what I was seeing with Josiane Nunes, where I thought she could beat Jacqueline Cavalcanti with the forward pressure, with the power. And she almost did. It was a split decision. You'll probably comment down below. It wasn't a split, but it was. And I thought she had a chance to win. Now we're getting another line where I think Cavalcanti is a little bit overvalued here. And I told you this isn't the betting show, but this is some betting advice. I would not bet on Cavalcanti, but for the pick, I'm still going to go with Cornolle. I'm still going to go with Cornolle because with the forward pressure, fighting in her home country, she's getting a short notice opponent here. She's got some revenge to get back, and I think she can get this one done. So give me Nora, the French woman. She's a little bit more butch too. We like that. We like that when we're betting women's MMA. We're getting the butch at underdog odds. We'll take it. Give me Nora Cornolle. Up the card, we got flyweight action here. 2 old flyweights. I think it'll be a good fight. I think we could see some violence here. Why? Because Daniel Barez brings the violence. And I like that about Daniel Barez. But the thing is, can he bring the violence at a high level and get those guys out of there? The bad part about Victor Altamirano is that he's very durable. And I think he should be able to take the shots from Barez. Now, Barez loves to work the body, and I would be a little bit cautious with Altamirano just because I think the way that Barez works the body, even if you have a good chin, you can only take so many body shots. And Barez ripped to the body, left hook. Ooh, it's nasty. But it really just comes down to durability and the cardio, and I think that's on the advantage side for Altamirano. So I'm going to go with Altamirano for a pick. But that round one is going to be very sweaty for Altamirano because Barez is most dangerous then. But over the course of 3 rounds, if he can get out of round one, might be a nice little live betting spot on Altamirano after round one. Because he's a gritty guy. He's going to roll with the punches, and he'll stay there. He's got good cardio, and I think he should probably pull off a victory here, either by decision or a late finish. So give me Altamirano for the pick. We moved on to some more women's MMA. Disgusting one here. UFC website is still bad. I don't know why I just continue to go back to UFC website, because Daria Zheleznyakova is not the favorite. She is, in fact, the underdog. Now, maybe they're putting that there because they want her to be the favorite and they want her to win. We'll see. But I think Daria has a good chance to win this fight. But I don't know that I can fully trust her to get her hand raised. Because Perez, she's going to get takedowns in this fight. I know she's going to get takedowns in this fight because she's very physical, she's very strong, and especially early on when her gas tank is fresh, she should be able to get takedowns. But the problem is she doesn't really do much with them. She gets people down, she'll lay in your guard, she'll make some mistakes, she'll lose position, and then she'll take you down again. And on the feet, she's improving, but she's still just very hittable. When she throws kicks, her hands are down by her side, she can get clipped, and that's pretty much her base, is throwing kicks. Throwing kicks is her base on the feet. That's what she does. She doesn't really throw a lot with her hands, and when she does, she kind of whiffs. So stand-up definitely goes to Zheleznyakova. I don't like the way that she wears damage. If you watch the fight back with Montserrat Rendon, not a good look. She still won the fight, and that was more of a wrestler, grappler that she was facing. So I think she has a good chance to win this fight. I would not bet on Perez at those odds at minus 238 because she is the favorite here. UFC website sucks. So I wouldn't bet on Perez. And I guess I will just take Zheleznyakova. She is training out of France. She's Russian, but she's training out of France. She's lived in France for a long time. She's the hometown woman. I'm going to go with Zheleznyakova for the pick. I know it's gun to your head type of thing, but I'll just take her. And I think she does the more damage over the course of 3 rounds. She's got the judges on her side. And Perez is kind of due for a loss. She's not the highest level. She makes a lot of mistakes. And I think in this spot, her opponent could probably capitalize on those. So give me Daria. Moving along, we got Taylor Lapilus, Vince Morales. Vince Morales coming back to the UFC. He's looked amazing on the regional scene, but that's the regional scene. Taylor Lapilus knows a little thing or two about the regional scene. He's a guy that got cut from the UFC, and he got brought back. Ever since he's been back in the UFC, he's looked pretty good. His only loss is to Farid Basharat in his second stint. And that's one that I could just look past because I think Farid is really good. Not talking about Javid, who lost to Ayman Zahabi. We're talking about Farid, who's still undefeated, and I think is better out of the Basharat bros. Lapilus, unbelievable takedown defense, unbelievable ability to just stay at range, hang those long arms out there, just keep you at range and poke at you for the entire fight. That's what he's going to do, and I think he's going to do it here against Vince Morales. Now, Vince Morales has some solid striking. He'll chop a little calf kick. He'll throw the hands. He'll look for a takedown. But I just don't see it working in this matchup. I just don't see it working to where he's going to overwhelm Lapilus. Lapilus is just so good in the kickboxing range, and I think he probably point fights his way to a decision. Just what he does, and I think this is pretty straightforward. I'll give me Lapilus for a pick. All right, now we got a big favorite here in Ludovic Klein. Really wish he wasn't fighting Roosevelt Roberts, but it is what it is. Roosevelt, tough UFC run, goes on tough, doesn't quite make it. They still bring him in basically to just be a warm body in there now and take on these guys where he's a big underdog. His last fight was Mateusz Rembecki, and Rembecki ran through him in one round. The thing with Ludovic Klein that I wish I could see a little bit more from him is just a little bit more killer instinct. I like that he's calculated, and that's just his game. He's just very calculated. He's a shorter guy, but he's long. He has good kickboxing, and he has solid wrestling, very good takedown defense. Not that I think that's going to be in play here. I don't think Roosevelt Roberts is going to be shooting, and if he does, it's probably because he's hurt. But I think on the feet, he'll land some shots. He'll chip away at him, probably to the point where Roberts doesn't really want to stand and strike, and then he'll probably look to clinch. I think Ludovic Klein might try to take him down. Could finish him on the ground, could knock him out, or he could win by decision, man. Like, I just went through all three like I'm some genius. But I think Ludwig Klein is just a guy that doesn't really go for the kill unless he's facing AJ Cunningham. So give me Klein for the pick, but I just don't know how he's going to get it done. I think it could actually be a submission just because Roosevelt, he's only been knocked out once and it was a spinning back kick. But he's been submitted 2 or 3 times, and I think Klein, although he's never had a submission attempt in the UFC, I think maybe this could be the time, just because I think the edge will be there for Klein on the ground. But either way, give me Klein for the pick, and we can move on from that atrocity of a matchup. Now we got Umar Sy and Dawoon Jung. Boys, let me tell you this. I would not be throwing money on Umar Sy. I would not be throwing him in any parlays. And after further investigation, I'm really looking towards the Dawoon Jung side, because if you watch Umar Sy's fights on the regional scene, you can go back 2-3 years. Look, he's a good grappler, and he's just very physical, very athletic. He can get takedowns, and when he has you down on the ground, he looks okay. But he also loses position a lot. He's getting hurt on the feet on the regional scene. He was almost TKO'd by an 0-0 guy. It was in the Octagon promotion. Go back and watch that fight. He nearly got TKO'd in the first by an 0-0 guy. He's getting reversed by these guys who are 5-5. Like, I'm a little bit sketched on Umar Sy in this spot because we saw him roll through Tuco Tokos, who it was his first UFC fight on like 3 days' notice. That looks great. Like, you rolled through him, round 1 sub, cool. But Dawoon Jung, even though he's on a 3-fight losing streak, he's still fought some pretty high-level competition, and I don't think he's terrible. And it's also like he's on a 3-fight losing streak. His back is up against the wall. He needs a win bad. So in spots like these, I would not be betting on Umar Sy. I'm still going to bitch out and take him for the pick because I do think he can get takedowns, and I do think he can land ground and pound on Dawoon Jung. But on the feet, I don't think he's very good. And if Dawoon Jung can stuff takedowns or at least survive the first round or 2, then it's going to be tougher for Sy to get those takedowns, and I think Dawoon Jung could maybe take over from there. So I'll still take Umar Sy for the pick, but that's just some advice on the betting side for Umar Sy. He's a big favorite. I wouldn't throw him in any parlays. I just don't think it's worth it at that price. Moving along, we got some more light heavyweights. We got Ion Cutelaba and Ivan Erslan. You know, I watched this Erslan guy, and I like him. I think this guy is fun to watch, and I think that's the reason they're bringing him in here, because he's lost to a couple guys in KSW who should probably be signed to the UFC, but they just weren't as fun to watch. This dude's got like 11 first-round knockouts. He goes in there, really solid boxing, really solid jab. I love the way he uses his jab. And then once he gets into range, he's just going to unleash hooks, and he's looking to take your head off. Decent, very decent anti-wrestling. And I wonder if Cutelaba is going to wrestle off the rip, but he just hasn't really been doing that lately. I mean, back, 4 or 5 fights ago, maybe even less, 4 fights ago, he was like takedown after takedown after takedown. Now it looks like he's just trying to stand and bang it out. If he tries to stand and bang it out, I think Erslan puts him away, because I think Erslan's the better striker, and I think he's got a little bit more gas when it comes down to it, because after round 1, Cutelaba just turns into a punching bag. And I'm going to take Erslan for the pick. I do think it's kind of just a 50-50 fight, and it's pretty much what it's priced at. But I think Erslan's probably got a little bit more technical boxing. If he can stay off his back, I think he could put away Cutelaba here. So give me Ivan Erslan, and I would love to see a big first-round KO for the guy, because I like the way he fights. He's just going to take your head off, and everybody can enjoy that. All right, moving along, we got Fares Ziam and Matt Frevola. Fares Ziam, I think I took Fares Ziam on the early picks. Trying to get this in the right spot. I think I took Fares Ziam in the early picks. And I thought it was a toss-up. After further investigation, I got to go with my boy Matt Frevola, bro. I think I just got to, because Ziam can get taken down. He can point fight you to a decision. That's really all he's shown, is he can point fight you to a decision. And I just don't know that I can trust that in a spot here where I know Matt Frevola is going to go out there and he's going to look to take heads off. He's going to look to take you down. He's going to look to create chaos. You know, I think Matt Frevola brings a fight to Ziam that Ziam doesn't like. And I think he's only losing when he's getting knocked out of the first round or he's getting wrestled up by Arman Tsarukyan. And considering Ziam has not landed a single knockdown or had a knockout in the UFC, I don't know. I don't think he's going to knock out Matt Frevola. He could, but, I mean, he's losing by head kick to Benoit. You know, McKinney in like 7 seconds. It's just like something you can't see coming. He had another knockout that doesn't really age the best. But either way, you know, I think if Matt Frevola doesn't get knocked out in the first round, I think he's live to win. And I think he could put away Ziam in the first round as well. So I think the danger factor is definitely on the side for Frevola. The takedown factor is on the side of Frevola. I know the age factor is a little bit caked in there, but this guy's last fight was a loss to Benoit, and Benoit's a big favorite over Moicano now on this card. So I don't think that's anything to hold your head down about. So give me Matt Frevola for a pick. And I hope he gets it done, man. I like Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola's a cool dude. And this isn't a biased pick either. I mean, I took Ziam on the early picks just because I thought, you know, momentum type of thing. But after further investigation, I got to go with the steamroller. Morgan Charriere and Gabriel Miranda. Now, this is another one, boys. It's another one where, you know, minus 675 is a little bit dicey because watching tape on Miranda's so good at jiu-jitsu. Like, he's so good at just bull rushing you, getting you down, and getting to spots where he likes to be. And it's a game plan that he goes out there with like every fight. And Morgan Charriere is a point fighter. At the end of the day, he's a point fighter. He doesn't have that many KOs. His KO in the UFC was literally against an absolute can. I don't think they've even talked about getting Manolo Zacchini, another fight in the UFC. They literally brought that guy in to lose to Morgan Charriere on a Paris card. I think that's what they're trying to do here, but I actually think Gabriel Miranda has abilities to win a UFC fight because he can get you down, and he has, 16 submissions on his record, and he's fought in some decent promotions. Like Brave is a pretty solid promotion, and he's looked good in spots. And I know Morgan Charriere has pretty solid takedown defense. He's a strong dude with a strong base who has really sharp striking. And I can understand why he should be a favorite here, but I just don't know it should be this big because Miranda can, if he takes your back once, it could be done. So personally, I'm going to stay away from Charriere on his money line, not throw him in any parlays. I'm going to take Charriere to win, but this price is just absolutely insane. So there's some betting advice for you on the pick show, but Morgan Charriere is the pick. It's just one where I think he needs to stuff takedowns 100% in the first round. And then after that, Miranda will start to slow down, and I think Charriere will pull away with it. But on the feet, you know, Miranda is not a great striker, and Charriere could clip him early. He's sharp, but I wish Charriere just threw more. I wish he had more volume. He's just a little bit too patient for my liking, but it's his game, and that is what it is. We got some welterweight action. We got Kevin Jousset and Brian Battle. I think on the early pick show, I took Kevin Jousset. And I made the case that he needs to cut off Brian Battle when he's fighting him. And after watching the tape, I just don't think he's going to, because he doesn't really do that. You know, watching him in the UFC, his opponents have been Son Canon, Kiefer Crosby, both guys who are just there, like they're just standing right in front of you. And Kevin Jousset's going to do well in those fights. If you stand right in front of him, he's going to do well because he's got a great jab, he's got solid volume, good low kicks, and he's got good movement in the pocket. Brian Battle's just not that guy. Brian Battle's not going to stand right in front of you in the pocket and throw with you. Brian Battle's the guy that's going to stick to the outside. He's going to use a lot of teep kicks, a lot of little push kicks, a lot of leg kicks, and then he'll mix in the hands here and there. He's just very tough to track down. You know, ex-middleweight going down to welterweight. He's tall for the weight class. He's long. And I think Kevin Jousset's just going to have a tough time landing, especially to the head, on Bryan Battle. Bryan Battle's movement around the cage is good, and his jiu-jitsu is very good as well. You know, if Kevin Jousset tries to mix it in, go for takedowns, he's got to worry about getting submitted on the ground. So I think Bryan Battle's just a better overall fighter, and I think this is a matchup where Kevin Jousset will probably have a tough time figuring out how to get off on damage on Bryan Battle. So I'm going to take Bryan Battle for the pick, and he's a slight favorite. Not really too much to say there on the betting odds. William Gomis and Joanderson Brito. This is one where it kind of scares me a little bit, but at the end of the day, Brito's just the better fighter. Brito is, without a doubt, the better fighter in this spot. Gomis is just a guy that can lull you into this slow-paced kickboxing battle where he's better. I just don't think Brito's going to fall into that trap. Like, just watching Brito, what he does is he just bull rushes you, hard overhand shots. Like, he could knock out a horse, bro. Like, this guy throws with heat. Everything that he has into every punch. Hard, low kicks. Not that I think he's going to rack up a ton against Gomis, because Gomis is a southpaw. Brito's an orthodox. He's not really going to be able to land those, I don't think. And Gomis is tough to track down, but Brito is just going to bull rush you with hard hooks. He's going to throw you up against the cage. He's going to drag you down to the ground. He's just going to impose his will. And I think that's what he's going to do here against Gomis. I think he'll probably look for takedowns early, look to throw him up against the cage, just feel his physicality. And I actually think Brito could find a submission here. And I think he could find it late. I think Gomis has solid takedown defense, but as the fight goes on, Gomis is going to wear down, and I think he's going to wilt a little bit, and I think Brito is probably going to find a later finish. Late round 2, maybe round 3, and he gets it done. So give me Joanderson Brito for the pick. Middleweight bout. This is a very sketchy one. Let me tell you why. Nasruddin Imavov has a couple weaknesses that I noticed when I was watching film. His weaknesses come to when he's in the pocket. When he's in the pocket, he's not a very good striker when he's in the pocket. When he's outside, where he's at like an arm's reach length, then he's good because he can pull back. So he's out of range, and he can use his kicks. He likes to use his feeler of a jab. He really just fights behind the jab and low kicks and front kicks. Kind of what all these French fighters do. And I think Brendan Allen, not that he's the best in the pocket, but if he can crash the pocket, I think he's going to make Imavov a little bit uncomfortable. And another weakness for Imavov is getting held up against the cage. If he gets held up against the cage, he's had a problem with that against Zheleznyakova. He had a problem with that against Cannonier, where he's getting held up against the cage for a minute and a half, 2 minutes at a time. And the time's just ticking. It's ticking, and this is a 3-round bout. So if he gives up time against the cage on Brendan Allen, that's not good. Now, another thing I noticed, first time he got taken down by Jared Cannonier in that fight, his last fight, he gave up his back immediately. If you give your back to Brendan Allen, he's going to sink the hooks in. He's going to take your back. And if he takes your back, he will probably submit you with a rear naked choke because that's his best weapon. And if he takes your back and doesn't submit you, he's probably going to be there for a majority of the round. I think Brendan Allen has the better jiu-jitsu on the ground. I think Imavov has solid takedown defense, but again, he gets held up against the cage. Out in the open, I think Brendan Allen can get takedowns on him. And considering this is 3 rounds, I think Brendan Allen, he just needs to win 2 rounds. Now he's going to have the judges, the crowd against him, which I don't necessarily like, but I do think, considering the odds here on Brendan Allen, I'm just going to take him for the pick, man. I think his 7-fight win streak is super impressive. I like Imavov as a fighter. I just think there's some flaws that Allen can exploit in this matchup, and I think he can pull off a victory here. I'm sure he's going in there with a chip on his shoulder, having to win 7 fights in a row, fighting a guy that's number 4, finally getting a good opportunity here. I think he's going to try to make the most fit. I think I'm going to take him for the pick. Give me Brendan all in. Allen to get it done in enemy territory. Now, move to the main event. This isn't if you're looking for a good breakdown here on this main event, this ain't the video. Okay, this ain't the video. I'm not the guy because Moicano is part of our Home of Fight team, man. Like he's on the Show Me the Money pod, which is by Home of Fight. I'm part owner of Homo Fight, so I'm going to be biased here. I want Moicano to win. I would love for him to win. I think he can win. I think he just needs to look to slow down Benoit. You need to slow the guy down. And there's two ways you could do that. You could neutralize him on the ground, which is a very tall task, especially from top position. But we haven't seen people take his back. Moicano's very good at taking backs. So if he takes Benoit's back in round one, it's a great way to slow him down. But the other way to slow him down would be to just outlast him, kind of just like Dustin Poirier did. You know, he was getting taken down by Benoit. He was just surviving. He was got put in some bad spots by Benoit, but just survived and ultimately overcame it, got on the feet, knocked him out. Now, not that Moicano is going to be knocking out Benoit on the feet like Dustin Poirier, but he can wear him out to the point where he puts Benoit in bad positions, maybe gets his back in round two, is able to lock something in, or he gets on top where Benoit is a little bit tired. He could do work there. So this is definitely not an unwinnable fight for Renato Moicano. And I think he has a good chance to win, but he needs to survive because Benoit is going to be most dangerous in round one. And as we've seen in Moicano's career, when he loses, he's usually getting finished in round one by Aldo and Fiziev. So he's got to stay safe, but he also can't just be 100% defense in that first round, because if you let Benoit get on a downwards trajectory, it's going to snowball on you, and you're probably going to wilt kind of like Moises did. So it's a tough fight for Moicano. I want him to win. I'll take him for a pick, but this is as biased as it could be. And I think Benoit has a great chance to win. He's a very good fighter. I think the guy is super scary. Super scary. He's the rightful favorite, in my opinion. He's a little bit chalky. But yeah, that's what I got for this card, boys. Hopefully you enjoyed the breakdown. Appreciate you for watching. Like the video for me. We'll be back here on Friday with the Best Bets Show, where I'll give you some bets, not picks. I'll give you the bets on Friday on the Best Bets Show for UFC Paris. Till next time, hey, job picks.